Is technical knowledge required to be a successful project manager? My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. Before I start, this is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is a free event I'm going to make with 4 sessions talking about how to develop your project management skills, the opportunities that you have in this career, each industry you can go, talking about certification. So it's going to be a lot of stuff there. Make sure you subscribe here in the link in the description of this video. Everything is free. So make sure you subscribe so you get all the information, but also make sure you join the WhatsApp group so you can get everything in your WhatsApp, you don't miss anything. Please help the survey for the Project Management Summit. That helps me to better understand your profile, better understand your challenges, and also come up with better content that can support you in your journey. And also, the content will be available only for 1 week. So make sure that you watch everything there. You can ask your questions. I'm going to prepare additional material to support you there. So very important, don't miss it. So I'm going to talk about today a question that I get very often, and often I see a lot of discussion. Is technical knowledge required to be a successful project manager? And I've seen the same discussion going for project managers, going for even for Scrum Masters. Well, my view is I can give you a very simple answer, which is yes and no. And of course, I understand that does not help saying yes and no. But first of all, why no? Well, if you are the project manager, or even if you are the Scrum Master, you are not the technical specialist there. You are not going to be the one responsible to execute the technical part, or at least most of the company. Some company has some different ways of work, because I know that some companies, they have positions like, well, as they call it, project manager / lead designer. So of course, then of course you need the technical knowledge. But if you're purely the project manager, or also if you're purely the Scrum Master, you don't need to have the technical expertise, the deep technical knowledge to execute a project. Why? Because you have a team, and your team is complete with experts there. So you need to have different skills and different abilities that you're going to add up in the team. Not looking for the technical part, but things that you're going to need. If you're a project manager, you need to understand how to oversee the scope, how you're going to oversee the timeline, how you're going to do cost management, business case management, how you're going to communicate with your team. Communicating is quite important to make sure that everyone in your team understands what the project is about, what are the project goals, what are the project targets. But also it's very important so you can communicate properly with the right stakeholders, so you can manage their expectations and make sure you communicate properly what the direction, where the project is going, and what kind of support that you require there. So you need to have a bunch of other skills that adds up with what the technical expertise from the team to execute something there. So that being said, but why I mentioned also yes? Well, you don't need to be the technical expert, but if you are working with your team, with your project, it makes sense that you have at least a basic technical understanding what needs to happen there. And what that technical understanding is, basic technical understanding is, well, what are the main parameters that influence your product or service there? For example, I've worked with air suspension development for cars. I'm not a technical specialist there. I do not have the detailed technical knowledge, but I gain at least a basic understanding about the product, understanding what are the key parameters there, like the diameter of their suspension, the kind of a load that you need to have, and then the kind of travel that you need to have in their suspension. And those things are very fundamental things that would influence everything else in the design. And if those things change it, of course, that changes impact my design, and of course, it would impact my entire timeline. That's why it's important so I understand. Because the customer say, oh, I'm changing the load. Okay, but now the product I design, it's not feasible anymore for what I need to do. So I need to redesign it. And of course, redesign it It impacts a lot my scope, it impacts my timeline, it impacts my cost. So that's why you need to have this type of technical understanding. So, but that's not something that you need to know. One of the ways that you can gain this technical understanding is you join a new company. Let's assume you join a new company there. What you do? Well, you are going to be assigned for a team. If you do not have the technical expertise there, but probably you have someone, or you should have someone in your team that has a technical expertise. Maybe it's a lead designer, or then what you do? You talk with this person, say, "Hey, I just joined the company, or I'm just newly assigned for this role. I do not have a lot of technical knowledge, but I would love to learn from you. Why? Because more I know about the technical part, more I can help you with the project." So you put yourself in the position that you're not going to first, you're never going to call the technical shots. You already tell the guy there, say, "Hey, you are the specialist, I trust you, and I would love to learn with you." So if you have this approach, most of people will help you. At least I've never met someone that will say, "No, no, I don't want to help you." And you can say very clearly, say, "But because if I have at least this basic technical understanding, I can try to help to take out work from your plate. Meaning I do not need to come every time with a very basic, stupid question for you. That means it also saves your time. It's also your interest that I have a basic technical understanding, because it makes easier for us work together and makes easier for us to achieve a goal of the project." So the question is, no, you don't need to have a technical knowledge as a specialist, but yes, you need to have a basic technical knowledge at least to work in the project team, understand what needs to be done. And again, you do not need to understand all the details. But if you gain a bit of basic technology, this basic knowledge up front, the maybe 1 or 2 months in the project, you are able to follow through that. And of course, in meetings with the team, you keep asking questions, but put yourself in the position that you are learning. Say, "Hey guys, can may I ask here a stupid question?" Or that's something it's not clear, at least for me, because of course I have a limited technical knowledge. Then, if you allow me, can I rephrase what you just say, and can you confirm if my understanding is correct or not? That's easy. And usually people will not oppose to that, because you are not questioning their work. We are just saying, "Hey, I'm very limited here with this knowledge. Can you help me to understand? Try to enlighten me here." That's what you need to do. And of course, people need to see that you are picking up this information, you are building on your knowledge. Because if every damn meeting for months you come up with the same question, people will be annoyed with you. They say, I have already told you that hundreds of times." So then you go into a bad direction. But if you want to gain a basic technical knowledge, you just need to ask people for that. Say, "Can you help me with that?" And you explain why. Say, "I do not have a knowledge here. I would like to understand a bit more, because I think we can perform better as a team if we do that together." And then you plan few meetings with this. If this technical specialist agree, just plan few meetings, 1 hour per week for the next 2 or 3 months. And be prepared, of course, to ask questions, because if you also sit there and you do not interact, that also does not going to work. So it's up to you to build the knowledge that you need to execute a project. But you are not going to be never the specialist, and you don't need to be the specialist. That's not the point. It's understanding things that will affect your project deeply, because there might be a change there that impacts everything else, impacts your quality level, your scope, your timeline, your cost, and everything else. And at least being able to fish this kind of things in a discussion and say, hey, but what is the impact of this item in your design? So you specialist there on Scrum, and the specialist on Scrum, that's what you need to do your team. You need to show to them how to help them how to work, how to perform, to teach them the frameworks, and that's what's important there. And I've seen recently, a few weeks ago, a lot of discussion. No, but the Scrum Master needs to needs to have experience as a coder because then he knows how he's going to test it. Yeah, the thing is, usually this very technical profile, the profile of a scrum master or the profile of a project manager, they're different because you need to have the different types of skills. You need to have, if you're a scrum master or a project manager, much more people skills. You need to have much more business skills, much better communication. Sometimes you sit with technical leaders that they are perfectly technically, but they do not think about the business part. They do not think about the communication properly, how to communicate something to their stakeholders or to the rest of the team. And that's why you are there, to make sure that you can do that, yeah, effectively. And I can tell you my own experience here. I started my background, I'm an electrical engineer. And I started my career then, even from my first internship there was in a design company. Design the protection, control, and automation of substations there. And of course, that was fully in line with my engineering degree. And I've done basically 2.5 years or almost 3 years of technical internship. And then I end up in a project management area as an intern. Then later on, I was hired to be a planner and controlling engineer. But this was the energy business. I was working energy with engineering, procurement, and construction projects for substations, which is very technical item, transmission and distribution of energy. But my technical background of electrical engineer and also my experience even as an intern was fully aligned with that. And of course, I was ended up being promoted as a project manager, but I have really good technical knowledge at the point that I could replace the lead engineer a lot of times in meetings with customers, in meetings, and I could just do the meeting myself. I could replace, I did replace sometimes the site manager or the lead engineer, the procurement guy, because I had the technical knowledge on the engineering level what had to be done there. And of course, for some stuff that was really technical, then I would need to go for a specialist. But that also was the case for my lead engineer there, because he had the general technical knowledge, but for some very specific case, when you talk about magnetic fields and so on, we had specialists to consult with. So as a project manager, sometimes, it was in the beginning of my career, I would do the work from some of my team members. And I'm not saying here that you should do that, and I'm not saying that I'm proud of doing that, but it happens as it happens, right? That's how I started my career. So I would just take decisions by my team members. Sometimes I really would do the work, like in the beginning of a project, we had to do a list of documents to say what kind of designs that we would work on. And sometimes there was some lead engineers working in the company that unfortunately they did not have, how can I put this in a nice way? They do not have this accountability or this feel of ownership that they want to deliver something. Usually they were saying that why they could not do stuff. Then basically I say, today to do a first draft of a list of documents, I need 5 weeks. Yeah, so be it. You can do that like in 1 hour. And because I was a technical specialist, sometimes when I get this feedback from people, say, I need to have this discussion with the customer next week. I'm not going to wait for you. Then I did myself and I moved to the discussion. And me, of course, not something that you should do. You should not go over your team members. But that's also a bit important that you have the right people on board, that they understand that some things they are time sensitive and they do not keep finding a key excuse why it cannot be done. This is also the mindset that does not work. But then I would do that, and sometimes I would take decisions by the site manager in the site. Like I even replaced site managers sometimes because they were on holidays, they were on sick leave or whatever. Then I really plan even part of the construction plan. Okay, we are going to start building those parts. We are going to have this amount of cubic meters per week. Those are the days that we get the concrete from the concrete factory and so on. So because I had this technical skill and this technical background, sometimes I would just move forward and do stuff. And sometimes I need it, like if someone is in a sick leave, I could replace them. That's a positive thing. But sometimes I was just, and I had these people with the mindset that they cannot do it, and then until I get someone that he really had the mindset that let's do it together. But sometimes I had the mindset, okay, I need to do that. I move forward, and I did not wait for my team sometimes, which is not the best idea. And of course, it was my initial years as a project manager. And I mean, it is what it is, but I learned with this experience, and that's not the way I like to work and behave right now. But was something that I could do at the time. What happened is when I moved for my international career, the first opportunity I got, it was to develop the supply chain for the automotive business of a sensor company. The thing is, I did not have any technical knowledge how to build a sensor. So I could not go for example, with the supplier and discuss, oh, but this is not good. This requirement here is not okay. It's not okay. And of course, I had to learn a lot, basically the technical items. I had to learn a lot about how to develop a supply chain. I had to learn how to qualify and how to release components, how to qualify and release items in the automotive business. But I could not never be the technical specialist. I could never replace the lead designer in the projects that I have after this my initial years of work, which pushed me to be a better project manager. Because instead of, okay, this person is not working, I'm just going to do it, I had to find ways how I can approach this person to make sure that the job is done, how I can properly communicate with this person to have the job done, or how I can manage things, move it around, and adapt to make sure we do not impact the project. That pushed me to develop my leadership skills, my team skills, my communication skills, my own mindset. Because if you look for a disc model or the inside discovery colors, my color is usually red, and red with some other colors there, but my dominant color is red. That means that I can be very pushy and very pragmatic in a lot of stuff. But also, this change from one industry to another helped me to balance up my skills. Because, okay, if you cannot do yourself, and even if you want to, you need to find another way to be successful in your project. And for me, that was a huge growth, and that helped me hugely in my career, because I did supply chain development for automotive, for sensors. But then I could move for a completely different type of product to do airspring developments for cars, different type of product. Then from there, I could move to do service development for healthcare. And from there, I could move to do the semiconductor development where I am right now. But all those steps, they only were possible because from transitioning from engineering, procurement, and construction, energy infrastructure, heavily engineer that matches perfectly my background, I had to develop all the other project management skills. And then I had to make them in a level that was as good as I could make it better than people that also had the technical knowledge, because still I'm working in the semiconductor industry and I have colleagues that are also project managers. They have been working with semiconductors for 20, 30, 35 years. They were designers, testers. They know everything inside and out about a product. But how can I perform at the same level as someone that knows inside and out for this project? Is because I had to develop all my other project manager skills: decision making, prioritization, risk management, how I approach the team, leadership, business case management, relationship build, stakeholder management, being proactive. That's very important. Being resilient, all those kind of stuff. Or instead of saying resilient, I like also to say anti-fragile. I start with adopt this item after I studied a bit the book and read the book. Then I think it's very nice. Basically, being anti-fragile is different than being resilient, because resilient means that you're pushed, but you come back for the same position. If you're anti-fragile, after you're pushed, after you're stressed, you come back to a better position. That's the mindset I like to have. But coming along the way, that's only developing all those other skills, and that's how I start to develop my own framework, and that's how I also end up developing the training that I have and thinking about mentorship, because in this journey it forced me to go to a completely different direction. And I'm not saying that as a technical project manager that I was not good. I was performing a really high level there. But also at some point I was limited, because if I cannot make my team work as good as I want, I need to do the work myself. And that pushed me to work extra hours. And then, of course, it pushed me more work, a lot of stress, more hours. And that's not what I want. So, this transition in different skills also helped me to balance out my life. Of course, at the time I was younger, I did not have family, I did not have kids, then it was much easier to work. I don't know, at some point in my life, I've worked from 7 to 6, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., from Monday to Saturday for 6 months, including holidays, and sometimes I work even on Sundays. But now I don't want to do that, because now I'm married, I have kids, I want to spend time with my wife, with my family. So building those different skills, it helped me a lot. But that means, if you come back to our original question, and I am the proof that you do not need to be the technical specialist. And I always like to make, when I see those discussions, if you know you need to have a technician. I saw the discussion about the Scrum Master that needs to be also a software specialist and had to be done all the work himself. And I always like to exaggerate and make a joke like, so you should not also hire most of the civil engineers that you see there, because they never concrete anything themselves. They always had someone, some worker doing this type of work. They have the carpenter or any type of people working there, like doing the painting. Then you should never hire a civil engineer. Why? Because he never did this himself. Of course, in this case, he has technical knowledge, but he does not know how to do a lot of stuff himself. If I ask you, okay, can a civil engineer lay out a floor? Yeah, of course, that might be the case that you can, but most of them never did it themselves. And you can do exactly the same exaggeration for a lot of things. And you say, okay, you're never going to hire a doctor because he was never a nurse, so he also does not know how to do that, how to lead a team. It's keep this in mind there. So it's very important that you understand that no, you do not need to be the technical expertise, to be the technical expert there, to have this very technical expertise detail. But you do need to have a basic technical understanding, which I just explained you how to gain. You start to you ask people to support you, your lead engineer, and help you in the beginning of your journey. Daily, you're going to build on the knowledge, you're going to study yourself. But also, during the team meetings, you can grow a lot because you follow the discussions, you can ask questions, and you can build on your knowledge in what needs to be done. But, and here's a very important but, you need to make sure that you are developing the right project management skills. And I've mentioned them already a few times. You need to make sure that you know how to handle a business case. You understand a business case. You understand cost management. You understand how to build a timeline. You understand how to see a critical path. You understand about leadership. You understand how you are going to deal with your team. How you are going to communicate with your team clearly. How you are going to make sure that communication is clear. You need to make sure that you can manage the stakeholders, that you can properly communicate the report of your project. Because I see a lot of project managers, when they talk about the report, they start talking about everything that happened in the project. Yeah, sorry, the manager, the director, or CEO, they do not want to do that. They want you to highlight the main items. That's why they hired a project manager, to execute in the technical details. And I see a lot of people even struggling to talk about their project. And I'm talking not just, and I'm talking about junior project managers, but I also see people that they had in the paper saying that they were senior project managers. They could not explain the most important points of their project. They start talk about basically everything. It's like if I ask you what's going on today, the word you start, okay, in the Greeks in the year of 2000 before Christ, and yeah, like you do not want to hear the full history there. You just need the highlights for what's important to know right now. So this ability to filter information, what's basically separate what's important from things that are less important, that's very important for our project management because that will help you in prioritization, in communication with your team, communication with your stakeholders. But those are abilities that you need to develop because in the end, what happened? If you start working a project, say right now, yes, I'm a project manager, was hired, got the chance that I want, but then you don't have the technical expertise, but also you don't have any project management skills, and you do not know how to build them, then you're going to be in trouble. And project management skills can be even to the basic stuff. Organization. Can you organize yourself? Can you organize your own agenda? Can you organize your own routine? Because I've seen a lot of project managers failing because they cannot. And again, when I talk about people from juniors, almost no experience or no experience at all, with also people more experienced. Or when I talk about, depending how you see experience, can be just years of work, but just does not mean because you are working with something 10 years, you are building up your knowledge. So it's important that you build up your knowledge, you bring the right skills for the table. Because then, when you are working with your team is going to recognize you, say, okay, this guy is here to add value. Because your goal as a project manager there is to add value. Your goal as a Scrum Master there is to add value. One of the ways, what's the main way that everyone is hired to add value? Solving problems. So if you can, you need to show to your team what you bring to the table. And what you bring to the table is related with the other skills that you need to develop that are non-technical necessarily. Because then otherwise the lead engineer does not see, say, yeah, I have a guy that here that's a project manager, but instead of doing his work, he tries to do mine as the lead engineer. And that's usually it's not nice. And I've already told you that I did it myself in the past. I call this like sitting in the wrong chair. Because instead of being the project manager, they're sitting in your own chair. You want to take other people's chair and say what they need to do and how they need to do it and take their decisions. That's not the way forward. But you need to develop those skills. Because then, again, I'm going to mention again, business case. Really, a project manager that does not understand about business case, it's in trouble. Cost management. Time. Schedule. You need to build on your timeline. Identify critical path, understand how this timeline impacts your prioritization. Scope management, change management, stakeholder management, decision making, prioritization. Those are skills that you need to develop to be a good project manager. And of course, the basic technical knowledge there will help you with a lot of stuff. But if you do not have those other skills here, then I can tell you that will be very hard to succeed if you do not have any technical skills and any project management skills. Then people will look, okay, what this person is doing there? You are just annoying people asking the same questions. You are always lost because people will ask you questions you cannot support the team. And I've seen that happen, honestly. And people were asking questions to the project manager, like what's the time frame that we need to have this completed? And the project manager is like, I don't know. Okay, check it out. But then he will not check it and he will not get back to the team. And the next time the same question pop up again. And people say, what this person is doing here? Because this person does not understand about timeline, does not understand about scope, does not understand about cost management. If you do not understand those things, you cannot communicate clearly, you cannot communicate properly, you cannot manage the expectations, you cannot manage stakeholders, you cannot decide, and you cannot prioritize. Then say, why this guy is here? It keeps annoying us to have meetings, but there is no add value there. So very important. So short answer for a long discussion. No, you don't need to be the technical expertise, the technical expert to be a project manager, or even to be a Scrum Master. However, you need to build at least the basic technical knowledge to make sure you can engage more effectively with your team. However, you need to make sure that you build the project management or the Scrum Master skills to make sure that you can succeed as a project manager. Make sure that you like this video here and also share with more people, because that will help me also to see the value that what I'm doing here. So if you see the value what you're doing, please help me, because that helps me to keep going. But also share with more people that you think need to learn this, that you think need to listen to this. That also helps me to foster project management, and of course helps you, because better project management is understood around the world, because there's a lot of projects out there that needs to be executed. More project managers are going to be required. Also, make sure you follow me for more content. Every week there's new content. There's a lot of range of different contents I created, from more this mindset stuff, or those discussions answering to questions, but also to technical content or even leadership content or other nice stuff. So follow me on YouTube, but also follow me on Instagram, because there I share smaller contents that you can read basically daily, a very piece of project management that will help you to further progress into your career, but also the Q&A box that's open there every day. You can ask your whatever question that you want. Of course, if you ask questions that are not related at all with project management, I'm very likely I'm not able to help you. And make sure that you subscribe for the Project Management Summit. It's a free event. It's 4 sessions. If you see the value from what we are doing here, you are going to be much more impressed about what we are going to deliver there. 4 sessions, extra material to be done there, and work for you to do. And if you are looking for your first step in the project management, that's where you need to be. Again, subscribe here in the link in the description. It's free. Make sure you watch everything, because the content will be available for only 1 week. And I hope I'm going to see you there, and I hope I'm going to see you soon. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye.